All right, we've set up a lot of applications, and what we need to do now is we need to put them into application packs. We can put them all in one pack if we wanted to, but it's probably best to separate these out a little bit. Now, an application by itself must be in an application pack because it's the application pack which is delivered to the client and then expanded from there if you've chose to set it to some compression. If not, it'll just still put it in an application pack and deliver it to the client. So we want to make sure that we put all applications that we're using into application packs, otherwise they won't actually be delivered to the client. This is very important. So on our console, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to application packs, and you'll notice that we have one already called default applications. We're going to choose that, and when we look at it, we can see that we have a few applications in there already, but really not enough, and we have a couple pages worth of applications. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some more applications into this default applications pack. I want to go through a few settings though on it. You'll notice that there's a priority, low, medium, or high, and by default it's going to be set as low. All application packs are delivered over to the client. From there, they're going to be processed in order of priority. So the high application packs are going to be processed first, and those applications will be installed, then medium, then low. So if you want an application pack to be delivered and installed before another one, what you'll want to do is you'll want to set that priority as higher. All right, you'll notice also that it has a compatibility tab, so you can put compatibilities on different application packs. In this case, we definitely want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new application pack, and we're going to call this default 64-bit applications. And we're going to clone this, and we're going to make a default 32-bit applications pack as well. And we'll click Save there. Now you'll notice it's giving me an error. And the reason it's giving me an error is because I have to have some applications in an application pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Applications. I'm going to grab the 32-bit applications I need. And in this case, it's going to be 7-zip 32-bit, and it's going to be Google Chrome 32-bit. And I'll click Add Now. When I click Save, well, it's a little happier. It also keeps the name in for me and names it over here in the column as well. So I've created my 32-bit applications, and in it I just have 7-zip and Chrome 32-bit. So I want to do the same thing for my 64-bit applications, and in this case I'm going to grab my 64-bit version of 7-zip, and I'm going to grab my 64-bit version of Chrome, and I'll click Save. So I know that I only have 2 applications in here, but I don't really want to push 32-bit applications over to the client to then be processed, find out, oh, they're not compatible, so it doesn't actually install them because I've wasted all that bandwidth. So it's better to separate out my 32-bit and 64-bit applications into those different packs. Now I'll go to my default applications pack, and I'll start adding more in here that have nothing to do with 32-bit or 64-bit. I'm going to make them carte blanche for everybody. In this case, I have a 7-zip version that's 64-bit, so I'm going to delete that out of there, and I'm going to start entering some other applications. So first thing I'm going to do is I've already had Adobe Reader in there. So, and I'm gonna leave the add the help desk and allow remote desktop as configuration items that I'll put in my own application pack. Same along with the default applications. My Chocolaty applications, I'll put in a Chocolaty application pack just to use that as an example. But I definitely want Cylance in there, so I'll click Add here. And I definitely want to put in a few things like KeyPass. And let's see what else we have in here. Well, we have Office, so I'm going to add Office as well and click Add. So here's my default applications I want all my computers to get, and that is to brand it with a registry key, and then to install Adobe Reader, Foxit Reader, Cylance, KeyPass, and MS Office. But I don't necessarily want them put in that order, so I'm going to change this up again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put silence at the bottom because I know that's going to install after domain anyway, and it just makes it more sense for me to make that appear at the bottom. By the way, the order of operations, or the order that the applications get installed in, is going to be from top to bottom. I want Microsoft Office to install early in the sequence, so I'm going to choose Insert Before, and I'm going to insert it before Adobe Reader here. I want my branding to be first and foremost, though. These three, I really don't care what order they're put in, so I'll just leave them in the order they're in and click Save. So once again, it's going to be, all these applications are going to be placed in the order from top to bottom. So this is the order it's going to install them at. All right. Now, my default applications I want installed first before anything. So I'm going to change the priority here to high and click Save, knowing that my default applications are going to be the first ones that it installs. I'm going to create a new application pack, and this is going to be, I'll say customizations is what I'll name it. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to put in all of the items that I'm customizing. So I will put in to add the help desk account. I will put in to allow remote desktop. And I will put in to change the default associations. And what else do we need? How about a customized start menu? And how about the time zone and to turn the firewall off? All right. Now, let me see if I want those in that order. I'll look here real quick, and I think the only order I want to change is I want to move the customized start menu to the top. And actually, no, I want the default associations to the top first, and then I want to customize it after that. I think adding the help desk should be, I'm going to put that to the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save. You know what else? I'm going to go over here to Applications, and I'm going to actually change this to install after the domain join and click Save. You'll notice that there's two WinPE choices here. One is before it lays down the Windows operating system, and the other is before it does a reboot after it's laid down the operating system. So before imaging is going to be, I want you to run this application before you even put Windows on the hard drive. This one's going to be, I want you to run this after you've put Windows on the hard drive, but before you've booted up the very first time and gone through the out-of-box experience. So we're going to leave that as after domain join and click Save and go back over to our application packs. There's one application pack we still need to create, and that is our Chocolaty application pack. So I'll name this as Chocolaty Applications, and I want to make sure that the very first thing it installs is the Chocolaty client install. So if I can find that, let's see where it is. Install Chocolaty is going to be the first, and then let's just go through the other ones that I chose to install here. So that would be the EM editor and Firefox as well. Probably been easier if I name these all with Chocolaty in the beginning or Choco in the beginning instead of sometimes at the beginning, sometimes at the end, because you can see it might be a little bit difficult for me to find if I needed to, and I had to rummage through a bunch of applications. This looks like a fine order, so I'll go ahead and click Save. And I definitely want to set this as low, and there's really no need to compress it, so I'm going to choose None. I'm going to look to see if there's any other application packs that I need to compress. Well, this one with the customization, most of those are BAT files and command lines or PowerShell files, so I'm going to choose None on that as well, because there's really no, they really not going to take up much space anyway. On my default applications, I might want to turn the compression on this up a little bit higher, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that to medium. Now, on the compression, the more compression I use, the smaller the file it is that's going to be delivered over to the client, but the more work the client has to do in order to decompress that file. So what we're doing is we're offsetting network advantages to the client and having the client work more on the processor end in order to decompress this. If I didn't add compression, I would make a larger file, which would be harder on the network if I was worried about network bandwidth. So it's larger files going over to the client, but it would be easier and faster for the client to install those because it's less work for it to have to decompress those files. So you might want to look at compression and see exactly what you should use. Most of the time, set it to none, or leaving it at low is fine. Medium and high should be really reserved when you really want to save network bandwidth, or when you're pushing files or syncing to directories that are offsite that may not have the greatest bandwidth going to it. The split size is how large I should let these application files get to before they're split. And the highest I can go is 4 gigabytes, and that's usually what I set them to. You can't go larger than 4 gigabytes because if you're using EFI and you're using a USB stick, that USB stick is demanded to be FAT32 partitioned, and the virtual directory will only take 4 gigabytes, and that's why there is a cap of 4 gigabytes on that. So we'll go ahead and click Save, and we're going to look at our order of operations here within our application packs. So we're saying default application packs should be installed first. We've set those as high. On the 32-bit and 64-bit, we should probably set these as medium, right? Because we want these to be installed next. Lastly, our customizations, we want those set as no, and on Chocolaty applications, we'll set these as medium as well, and click Save. Now, we have to publish before we set any of our changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a publish here, and I'm going to click Any Changes. smartImager is going to take these applications and put them in their application packs, compress them according to the compression settings that I told it to, and make them ready to be distributed. I'm going to go ahead and click pause here and stop this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how they ended up onto the client application or on the client machine and how to troubleshoot the client machine just in case any of these applications didn't install the way I thought they should. So I'll go through some advanced troubleshooting techniques